Story time. And these are physically the first deck of tarot cards that I've ever purchased. This is the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The box is long gone. They're holding up pretty well for 28 years. There was a little shop in Penetanguishene on the main street. And if you know the main street of Penetanguishene, you know that it's like this. I had been exploring an awful lot of things at that time. Of course, this is before the internet. So to explore things was to be able to find random books. And we had an excellent used bookstore at the Huronia Mall at the time. And I used to find strange 1950s and 60s and 70s metaphysical soft cover books. I feel like at that time there were a few television psychics that had just started to sort of just started to be a thing. Like Sylvia Browne was on Montel. John Edwards, the medium, had a show out. And also I was pregnant with my first baby and I was looking for answers, right? I mean, at that time I'm looking for all the reasons for being. I'm looking for all the reasons that thing happened, and I had always been a lucid. I was going to say I've always been a lucid dreamer, but it kind of came and went. I had always been a big dreamer. I'm not sure what got it into my head. I don't even know where the inclination came from. But I was about 7.5 months pregnant, and I was like, we need to go to that store. I had never been to that metaphysical store before. And so in I waddle, chubby cheeked and fairly round on the street that goes like this. And the person behind the desk asked if they could help me with someone, and I wish I could remember who they were. I was so shy. I said I wanted a deck of tarot, and they said, what would you like? And I said, I don't know. Because we didn't have the internet to tell us that there were different things, and there weren't very many decks out and available at that time. They had pointed me towards a miniature version of the Rider-Waite. Like it was small, tiny little cards, and they were like, they can fit in your purse. And I knew I did not want that because I wanted to take it seriously. I wanted to really invest in learning them. So I got the big box, which I think I may have paid $11.99. It would have been $19.94. I got them and I played with them. And I used the book. It was a tiny little leaflet that came with it, had almost no information in it at all. I ended up finding other books out into the world to help me expand my understanding because I had no one to teach me. So there's the first, Lori breaks the first rule of tarot at the time, where I bought my own deck. And I had no idea that there was any, like, it wasn't that I came from a long line of witches. Although I did see things with adults around me that nobody was allowed to talk about in terms of them using cards to read. And I was given the strict finger waggling that if I ever told anybody that I saw them reading cards, there was going to be spanks. That was the 80s when you could still spank. Back to 94. The first reading I do for myself is I ask, when is the baby coming? I did a spread, like a week to week kind of a spread from there. And the baby was born in the week that I got my little check mark. And I asked if it was going to be a boy or a girl. Now, you got a 50-50 chance with this one. But mine was that it was going to be a boy. On its way. I feel like the card that I drew, it was either the Page of Swords or the Page of Wands. I can't remember which one, but the little leaflet said a young person is on a journey, and it was, for me, it was boy. I was filled with wonder that at this one little thing, even if looking back you can kind of go 50-50. And that started me on this journey. I would, when that baby was about 2.5, I really started studying. So in the meantime, more and more books came out, and I had my hands on more and more books, and I was studying Wicca more closely, season change and reasons and mythologies around that. And I've been practicing more with astral travel, and again, there wasn't a whole lot out there to teach you. It was about 2.5. I really started studying these. I spent 6 hard and fast months with these. I feel like it was about a total of a year before I really started reading for others. I feel like it was friends first, but I was pretty isolated at that time. I was at an age where most of my friends at that time were kind of off at school, and I was doing babies. I had a little shop. Money fell into my lap. It was the weirdest thing. And I had this secondhand clothing store, and then I ended up filling it with incense and Llewellyn books and magical things and tarot cards. I started selling tarot decks, and I started doing readings for people at $5. $5 for half an hour, because I was practicing. And I was good enough that they started telling their friends, and they started telling their friends. I didn't start doing parties. From there, I started working the Miss Cleo phone lines. So now we have internet. Now it's I want to say 99 or 2000. We're somewhere in 99, 2000. And I have some clunky dial-up internet. I see online somewhere, probably in a pop-up banner, Miss Cleo phone line stuff, and I have to do the back digging to figure out how to be a reader. I find it, and that was the best practice ever. Reading for strangers who were paying per minute. That's kind of the long story about the first deck and how long I worked with them before getting other decks. The second deck I purchased in 2001, and it was the Morgan Greer deck, and I feel like I found them probably on eBay. I thought they were so beautiful, and then I couldn't read them. I was so trained to the deeply ingrained meanings. Oh, isn't that fun? Look what I just did. Completely not on purpose. See how they are, see how they are similar, but the art makes them just a little bit different. I love when synchronicity works in my favor, which is what synchronicity is supposed to do and be. Couldn't read these. I wasn't connecting with them. And then I was introduced, it'd be too bad. No way. I did not plan this. This was the second card underneath. So then I got the Druidcraft Tarot, which as you can see is different, even more so. I got the Druidcraft Tarot, and because the mythology, I was connected already to the mythology with all of the work I had done previously in reading, learning about Wicca, learning about seasons, learning that went into learning about some Celtic and Norse mythology. Anyway, once I learned this deck, after that I could read any heckin' deck. That was amazing. I wish that you guys saw me shuffling, right? They certainly don't make them like they used to, because this is the third deck, the third or fourth. I've completely lost track. I think this is the third deck of the Druidcraft Tarot that I've owned, and look at how worn it is. And this is the deck I've had for 28 years. It's a little bit dirty. It's a little bit disgusting. But held up. And these are now 21. And they've also held up as a workhorse deck. That's how I came by my first deck of tarot cards. Nobody bought them for me. You're not breaking rules if nobody buys them for you. I'm a really big fan of we create our own mythologies around things and stuff, right? Like we are our own creators. And so what you believe, you create. And I am a big fan of breaking all the heckin' rules. I bought my own deck. And I refuse to be a gatekeeper. If you feel like you're a gatekeeper, I'm going to allow you that, because that's the reality that you've created, but that's not my bag, baby. That's the story of Lori Grace's first tarot deck, and apparently we're going to look at the Eight of Cups today and figure out what message that has for us. That was fun. Dun, dun, dun. And if you're ready to read intuitive tarot, let's connect. I love to teach you through my school of witchery.ca. Teach you all about what the Eight of Cups means.